Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Golden Valley Mines. It trades on the OTCQX under the symbol GLVMF, as well as on the TSX under the symbol GZZ, and is focused on project generation and continues to evaluate opportunities to enhance its mining exploration property portfolio. Please welcome its president and CEO, Glenn Mullen. Welcome, Glenn.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to Emerging Growth Conference for this opportunity. I'm anxious to tell people not just about Golden Valley Mines, but some things that are perhaps unique and a little bit different in the space. The space being not just public companies, but mining companies specifically. I like to leave this slide up knowing that almost no one other than lawyers will read it. It's mostly a reminder to myself that the information that we present to you isn't just supposed to be timely, but accurate. And don't ever be shy to hold management accountable. I like this slide about the broken down prospector who heard that they struck it rich on Wall Street. It's no secret to anybody that a lot of the money raised for public companies in any sector, pharmaceuticals, biomed, mining in particular, natural resources, a lot of the money is diverted to support services, legal, audit, listings fees, marketing, very expensive, etc. So that's a reminder to ourselves as well that Golden Valley Mines, by design, is supposed to try to adhere to certain principles and core values. Given that we're the largest shareholders, we try to run the business as if it is actually our own money. So that's one difference. Our shareholders are quite different. We've been around for 20 years. We were incorporated in 2001 and listed on the predecessor exchange in Canada, now called the TSXV. And our symbol in Canada is GZZ. In the United States, we graduated to the OTCQX last July. And our symbol there is GLVMF for foreign. And actually, that's had a significant impact. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few more slides. It's important that investors and even the interested are aware that the largest group of shareholders are the board of directors. So I would like to think that if insiders are the largest shareholders, and in fact have doubled their ownership over the past 3 years, that they think they know something. And that's probably an attribute that we should be telling you about. Also, Quebec government-backed institutions, and there are 4 of them, are significant shareholders of Golden Valley Mines. So that includes the largest pension fund in Canada, called the Caisse de dépôt from Montreal. They would have about 5% of Golden Valley, and the other 3 Quebec-backed funds would also hold about 5%. So Quebec government institutions, about 10% of Golden Valley, the board of directors, 30%. And we're only 4 board members, and we own 30% of the company. And then several significant retail investors who've come into our market in the past few years. Geographically well dispersed from British Columbia in Canada, Toronto, of course, very significant investment climate for mining, in particular in Canada, California and New York and Florida in the US, and a couple of bastions of strong support in our retail market from Europe. So some other elements that I'd like to talk about are the board of directors itself. So Joe Groya, if you were to Google him, and it's probably well worth so doing, you'd find out that he was formerly the Director of Enforcement of the Ontario Securities Commission and eventually evolved into his own boutique law firm in Toronto and has done very well for himself, representing some very high-profile clients. Joe is also our lead director on the board of directors and a large shareholder. Jimmy Lee is a mechanical chemical engineer from University of British Columbia. That's where he got his degree, originally from Seoul, South Korea. And Jimmy Lee has become the largest individual investor in Golden Valley Mines over the past 5 years, now owning 23% personally himself. And much of that are secondary market purchases. It's the first time in my career somebody has owned more of one of my companies than I have. So rather grateful for the endorsement there. Bill McCartney founded one of Western Canada's largest public accounting firms called Davidson and Associates, which he sold a number of years ago. and myself as a geologist prospector, originally from Montreal, the four of us together collectively owning 30% of Golden Valley Mines. So that's something I think most investors might want to be aware of. I like to use our stock performance as well, and why not? We're comparing it to two important metrics on this chart. The trailing gold line at the bottom would be the price of gold in US dollars going back over the past 6 years. The light blue line at the bottom of the graph is the index for the exchange on which our home base is, the TSXV index in Canada. So dark blue would be Golden Valley's stock performance, and we've certainly way outperformed both the TSXV index and the price of gold. So of course there are some specific catalysts that are responsible for that, but it is worth knowing that we've done better than the commodity gold itself and done much better than the exchange index, even though it has been a pretty good year for a lot of natural resource companies, precious metals in particular. So here are a few peer group comparisons. And one of them is I've deliberately picked over a 2 and 5 year timeline, companies that are representative, that are comparable in terms of their business plans, or at least the geographic jurisdictions in which they work. So Renforth, Cartier, Probe, Osisko Mining would be generally well-known names in this part of the world being northern Quebec. And I should have mentioned at the outset, Golden Valley is actually named after the town of Val-d'Or, Quebec, the Golden Valley in which we're based. And it's not just a good place to be based, it's a very good place to be based for a mining company, being the center of exploration and development and production activity in Eastern Canada. So Golden Valley has been outperformed on these charts only by one company named Abitibi Royalties, which in fact is one of our own subsidiaries and was actually spun out of Golden Valley Mines in a plan of arrangement nearly 10 years ago in 2011. And so I'll come back to Abitibi Royalties in a few more slides, but here's another peer group comparison showing you some royalties companies. And why royalties? Well, our focus asset is the share position that we hold in our own subsidiary, Abitibi Royalties. But more importantly, royalties companies as a subset of the mining industry are perhaps the best performing sector. So royalties companies enjoy a number of benefits, one of them being less dilution, namely they don't contribute to ongoing operators' costs, nor most of the other actual day-to-day headaches, employees, labor, First Nations, access issues, municipalities, engagement, taxation, etc. Most of those are very subordinate topics to royalties companies, given that it's the operator of those assets that's responsible for most of the costs. And you can see that both Golden Valley and Abitibi Royalties have outperformed most of the best known names in the sector. And I have deliberately included the best and the behemoths. So Franco-Nevada, Wheaton Precious Metals, Sandstorm, Altius, Osisko Gold Royalties, to name a few. And of course, the gold spot price shown also for reference. I like this chart or this image because it basically represents our business plan in a single image. The large circle on the left would be Golden Valley Mines. And the top three circles on the right would be our own subsidiaries. So all three of those companies were spun out of Golden Valley Mines in July 2011. Each one has evolved into a different business plan. Each one's board of directors has evolved to become more and more independent. And each one of those subsidiaries is self-sustaining and responsible for its own strategic plans. So Abitibi Royalties is by far the most important and certainly is our anchor asset, given that it owns various royalties in northwestern Quebec, quite close to the town of Val-d'Or specifically, including parts of the Canadian Malartic gold mine. The second circle that you'll see on the chart is Val-d'Or Mining Corporation, which is what we call a prospect generator That's where we test ideas. We acquire properties, we test them at the earliest stage, namely grassroots ventures, geological ideas. We test them with our own capital, try to develop the hypothesis, and then find a joint venture partner to assume the larger exploration costs, which normally follow. International prospect ventures, the third circle on the right, is the part of our operation that works outside Canada. And at this time, only in Australia, namely Western Australia. And I'll come back to international prospect ventures in a few moments. The bottom circle is the part of our business plan that is conventional and that therefore might be familiar to many of your investors. These would represent arm's length joint venture partners who've acquired or are acquiring interests in Golden Valley's properties through expenditures staged over time, together with various consideration paid to Golden Valley. And that normally contributes to lowering our overhead costs. So some of those names should be quite familiar to any other people that invest regularly in the mining industry. O3 Mining, Bonterra, Sirios Resources, to name a few. And there are more coming, and there are more historically. And this is how we develop the royalties. So I'll come back to that path in a few more slides. 2 slides to show you how the business plan actually contributes to Golden Valley's bottom line. The top line showing Golden Valley's ticker symbols, both Canadian and American, and the top right being the actual market capitalization in US dollars. So around 70 million US dollars being the total market cap of Golden Valley. The opportunity for Golden Valley would be the middle line. That's where we're trying to show the sum of the parts, the net asset value contributed by our own subsidiaries. So Abitibi Royalties being the box on the left of the middle line, RZZ ticker symbol, VZZ, IZZ, the 3 of them collectively contributing over 112 million US dollars in value to Golden Valley Mines. So if I said that a different way, if you could pay 70 cents and acquire $1.12 in value, most people would think that's probably a good opportunity. That's what I'm trying to show here, that the net asset value far eclipses the actual market capitalization. And that's before we talk about opportunities, royalties, properties, joint ventures, cash, and other contributors that most other mining companies use as their story. Our story is that we trade at a discount to our net asset value, and we still have those other attributes that most other mining companies have. So in practical numbers and in real values, these are what the 3 subsidiaries actually look like. Abitibi Royalties, Golden Valley Mines is the largest individual shareholder, in fact, the controlling shareholder, owning 45% of the total issued equity. That would be 5.6 million shares. In Canadian dollars, it closed at $24 yesterday. I think that's 1990 something in US currency. International Prospect Ventures, Golden Valley is the largest individual shareholder also, owning over 11% or 4.4 million shares. And of Val-d'Or Mining Corporation, Golden Valley is again the largest individual shareholder, owning nearly 40% of the total issued equity. So that's our way of having leverage into exploration in Australia, exploration in Quebec and Ontario, and direct exposure into the royalties business, in particular, a very lucrative gold mine in northwestern Quebec. So in terms of infrastructure and where we are, you can see the town of Val-d'Or. That'd be about a 6-hour drive north of Montreal for those unfamiliar with the area. And we're in the middle of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, more or less strategically located between Timmins on the west side in Ontario and Chibougamau on the east side in northeastern Quebec. Val-d'Or being particularly well located, given it's the base of most of exploration activity, development activity, and many of the producers, including several listed on NYSE and NASDAQ in the United States, and certainly Toronto and Canada. Familiar names like Agnico Eagle, Yamana Gold, IAMGOLD, Kinross, Wesdome, etc. So a few words about our trading for those that are not familiar with a small company like Golden Valley. 4 years ago, essentially 0 shares per day traded in the United States and very fragmented ownership. We tried to tidy that up by getting an OTC registration, originally on the QB, graduated to the QX last July, which improved our liquidity by over 105% during the last calendar year. So that was quite effective. We also did a share consolidation of 10 for 1 because we're looking at other platforms in the United States to improve our market awareness and exposure. And the one consideration where we were clearly offside was our share price a year ago being around 60 cents Canadian. So the 10 for 1 was quite effective by cleaning that up and ticking that last box for other opportunities. And you can see that our volumes have increased through that period of time as well, not just the percentage of trading in the United States. Looking back over the past 10 years, both at market capitalization, the box on the right, but the column on the left showing TSXV, RZZ, that would be Abitibi Royalties market cap. And then the next column, GZZ, being Golden Valley's market cap. If you go from 2011 to current time, you'll see a fairly progressive and regular, if not linear, improvement over that decade. And we're pretty proud of that because it attests to the business plan, the insider ownership, the price of gold, and a couple of specific catalysts that relate to our own subsidiaries. This one being the most important, Abitibi Royalties, ticker symbol RZZ in Canada. It does trade on the NASDAQ International in the United States. Very small shares issued, small share count, 12.4 million shares. I should mention that we've had a normal course issuer bid, share buyback, unfolding for the past 3 years. Can't name another mining company that's done a share buyback for over 3 years. We've reduced our share count going back over the past 3+ years. I think it's 5 years. We've actually reduced our share count in each of those 5 years. Golden Valley Mines owns 45% of the total equity. A very well-known Canadian investor from Toronto named Robert McEwen, formerly the founder and largest shareholder of Goldcorp. Rob McEwen owns just over 11% of Abitibi Royalties. And I should mention those same Quebec government institutions that have backed Golden Valley have been very strong supporters of Abitibi Royalties as well, namely the pension fund in Montreal, the Caisse de Dépôt, and 3 other funds, including Sidex and the FTQ from Montreal, are also very large and important and strategic shareholders for the company. And we're very proud to have their support. In some cases, it extends over a decade now. So a few other things about Abitibi Royalties that explain the value proposition. This image, in particular, the part on the upper left, the large light gray outline, that would be an open pit gold mine about 15 kilometers from where we're located in Val-d'Or. So pretty much outside our back door. The yellow line that trends across that image is the provincial highway, part of the Trans-Canada Highway Network. And of course, power and rail all available to this part of the province of Quebec. I often forget to mention that it's worth mentioning in particular to American audiences that much of the hydroelectricity that comes to New York City, New York State, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania actually originates from the province of Quebec. And the province of Quebec uses that hydroelectricity to stimulate local industries, including the mining industry. So discounted hydro being one of the primary advantages offered for this project called Canadian Malartic. You should remember that name, if only for the reason it's the largest gold mine in North America. So not just a big mine in Quebec, but the largest gold mine in North America, producing over 600,000 ounces per year. Last time I looked, the all-in sustaining costs, AISC, were in the range of $700 US. Most investors would know that gold is trading at $17.96 US this morning. Importantly for us on this side of the border, $22.40 Canadian. The perfect storm for Canadian gold producers, receiving their currency, their revenue in US dollars, paying their costs in Canadian dollars in a rising climate. The red lines that trend across the top part of the image would be the auriferous or the gold-bearing zones at Canadian Malartic. And you can see the property that was originally staked by Golden Valley Mines with the 3% in the middle of it, the dark blue rectangle that my cursor is outlining, that would be a property originally staked under the Mining Act by Golden Valley Mines and then used to spin out Abitibi Royalties and list it separately using that focus asset, namely a royalty in a very large producing gold mine, and that became the focus asset of Abitibi Royalties. We also own another singular royalty immediately to the southwest in the Goldie Zone and covering the Charlie Zone and parts of the Goldie Zone, and several other assets in the immediate area. So that would be the original two properties. That would be the Canadian Malartic open pit. And the images shown in green, yellow, orange would be other royalties and net profits interests that have been acquired by the company going back over the past 4 years. So we've stayed very true to our core business plan, namely royalties on producing assets and near producing assets in northwestern Quebec. So this is what it looks like in practical images. And in fact, that's the open pit, the way it looked last October. The Abitibi Royalties property, the NSR, would be all of this area that my cursor is outlining. The large building on the upper right would be the largest gold mill processing plant ever built for a gold mine in Canada. It currently produces nearly 10 times the average for gold producers in northeastern Ontario, northwestern Quebec. So they actually process nearly 60,000 tons per day, metric tons per day from that plant. And the average gold mine in this part of the world produces around 6,000 tons per day. So this is a behemoth operation, and certainly a large part of its economic clout is because of scale. The other images that you see attest to the proximity to the provincial highway network, the Trans-Canada Highway, and that's actually a smaller open pit called the Jeffrey Zone that's effectively in the middle of the Abitibi Royalties property. International Prospect Ventures, a few words. Not everybody's interested in grassroots exploration, but that is what makes our heart beat. I was rather attracted to an idea by a doctor of geology called Quintin Hanai from Vancouver, originally from Australia, that came up with the concept that Western Australia should be very prospective for the simple reason that plate tectonics 2.7 billion years ago had it connected to what is now South Africa. Why is that important? Well, South Africa, the Witwatersrand's the largest producer of gold in world history. Only 1.6 billion ounces produced to date. And that becomes very interesting for grassroots propositions in Western Australia. So we acquired 8 properties through International Prospect Ventures in Western Australia. We're taking a look at that right now, a grassroots proposition. Interesting to note that prospectors working on some of our properties using metal detectors actually recovered over 200 nuggets, including this one that came in at 7.5 ounces. So not just well located geologically, but certainly a strong endorsement of the potential for significant gold. We're not looking for the nuggets. We're looking for the source of the nuggets. A grassroots venture, certainly. And Val-d'Or Mining Corp, this is the prospect generator, remembering that all the value in our world came from breaking rocks, grassroots propositions that moved through the pipeline, additional exploration funding, developing assets, developing ideas into royalties. The gold dots would be properties 100% owned by Val-d'Or Mining Corporation in Quebec and Ontario that we're working on at this time. And lots more news flow, including today, from Val-d'Or Mining Corporation. So I invite any investors to take a good look at that. And this is the part that is familiar to many investors, namely joint ventures. So other public companies with no prior connection to us that have contacted us to earn an interest in Golden Valley's properties in Quebec or Ontario. So Bonterra Minerals have earned an 85% interest in one of Golden Valley's properties, leaving us with a 15% free carried interest and a 3% NSR, net smelter return royalty. They also had to pay consideration along the way, as do O3 Mining, who are earning an interest in one of Golden Valley's properties. So in this one, they can earn an 80% interest by spending $4 million over 4 years, and they're about 3/4 of the way through that process now. So certainly that last $1 million expenditure is going to be a source of significant news flow. Very good results reported to date over the past 2 years by O3 Mining, part of the Osisko Group. And on that one, we'll be left with a 1.5% NSR as well. And a few words on the last project, Sirios Resources in northern Quebec, really the James Bay mid-north area. This is a project called Chichu, where our partner, Sirios Resources, who also have a news release out this morning, Sirios have actually reported that they're drilling an additional 2,500 meters here this morning. They've already developed over 1.9 million ounces in resources, inferred category, all of this being new work. So what I'm trying to show as I conclude is that we do unique transactions. We don't dilute. We're reticent to issue shares. Who are the largest shareholders? The board of directors. Why would we want to dilute ourselves? We don't have debt, nothing hidden on the balance sheet. Our transactions are quite unique as well. We have less dilution than most of our peers. In fact, we've had no dilution over most of the past 5 years. Prospecting, small exploration programs, find partners, partners advance the properties through significant expenditures, leaving Golden Valley with NSRs or free carried interests or both. And that's how we take grassroots ideas, develop royalties, and do that in multiple commodities, not just gold only. Gold, base metals, nickel, copper, platinum group elements, diamonds, uranium. And I think with that, I'll wind it up. I'm almost done, except to say that because Montreal plays Tampa Bay tonight, go Habs go, and thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great presentation, Glenn. We do have quite a few questions. We only have a few minutes, so let's get to it. So the share buyback is interesting. What percentage have you decreased the outstanding shares to date from its high? And what percentage more do you plan to buy back over the next 2 years?
That's a very specific question. So you're allowed to do up to 5% per year. I don't think we've ever attained that on an annual basis. We've reduced the share count by over 5% over the 3 years. I can come back with specific details, but I'd actually have to look at the filings to actually give you the detailed number. It's around 5 or 6%. And the plan going forward is it's been our often stated ambition to reduce our share count to 10 million shares or less. We're at 12.4 million right now.
So you have a sizable cash position. Do you see yourself having to raise funds in the future? And if so, how much? And what will the use of the proceeds be?
Well, raising cash externally would imply dilution, and that's the opposite of what we want to do. Abitibi Royalties, and to make a distinction, our balance sheet is consolidated because Golden Valley Mines controls Abitibi Royalties, but most of the cash actually belongs to Abitibi Royalties. It controls over 55 million Canadian in cash, so there's certainly no plan to raise cash at that level. Golden Valley Mines typically has about $1 million cash and then all of its equity positions in the various companies, which total over $100 million in value. But there's no plan to do dilution, raising external cash in either of the companies at this time.
So do you see the company becoming long-term debt-free during 2022?
Well, we are debt-free, and we'll stay that way, absolutely.
Last question, where do you see revenue going over the next 12 to 24 months?
Reducing the shares issued on the level of Abitibi Royalties, so certainly that. I should have also mentioned we started paying a dividend in 2019, the third or fourth quarter. We've increased it at least twice. It's substantial to Golden Valley Mines being the largest shareholder. We actually receive over $1 million a year just from the dividend right now, and that's part of the reason we don't have to raise external cash. And sorry, what was the other part of the question? Sorry, I lost that. Where do you see revenue going over the next 12 to 24 months? Yeah, well, certainly the main plan is to prevent dilution to our share capital. While we look at external assets, always. Anyway, anybody that's interested can certainly give me a shout directly. I'm always happy to take calls. The number's showing on the screen. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Great presentation. We look forward to your updates.
Thanks very much. Go Habs, go.
Let's go. All right, everyone, as we transition to our next presenter, you're going to see a black screen, but stay with us. We'll be right back.